Yeah, obviously it would be ideal if Assad no longer had possession of chemical weapons, but I continue to believe that irrespective of the chemical weapons or beyond the chemical weapons, it is still a vital national security interest of the United States to see the Syrian people have a chance to remove Assad from power. And so that issue still remains irrespective of the chemical weapons issue. As far as the proposal that Secretary Kerry mentioned today, it's the first we've heard of it. There's a lot of questions I would want to ask about how something like that would work, but certainly anything that would take chemical weapons out of the hands of Assad is something we should consider.
Were you surprised that the president sort of jumped on it? Because, you know, when John Kerry put the proposal out, he said he could turn every single bit of his chemical weapons over in the international community in the next week. But then he said, but he isn't about to do it, and it can't be done, obviously. So he sort of basically said this is a ridiculous proposal. But then the president jumped onto it. I mean, is this a deal that you could see yourself supporting? I know you said it's complicated, but what do you think?
I mean, there's a couple questions one would have. So certainly, I mean, no one is against any plan that would supposedly get weapons out of the hands of Assad. I have my own concerns about whether he would legitimately do that. Beyond that, I think there would have to be strong verification that it's actually happened, which I think could be potentially very difficult. Syria is an active war zone. I mean, there's a civil war going on in Syria right now. It's not exactly easy to go down there and patrol. I'd have concerns about how those weapons are transferred out of there. These convoys could be ambushed. So it's the first I hear of it, so I'm reacting to something here that we've only known about for a couple of hours. When Secretary Kerry first mentioned it earlier today, he did so exactly along the lines of what you've described as something that isn't going to happen. So we'll need to learn more about that proposal.
Now, do you think this idea is the president's way of backing down from a strike? I mean, does this look, I know you're not for a strike and you're for, you've been for example, helping the rebels instead, but does the way this has been handled, building up to these interviews and an address to the nation to justify a strike and instead saying, I'm open to not striking, does this make the president look unsure or ambivalent or worse, weak?
Well, look, again, I don't want to say anything that undermines the U.S.'s position globally on national security. I will say this, though. I think one of the things that's made this issue very difficult to deal with is the fact that for 2 years the administration has not made the case as to why Syria matters. And I'll confess there are people in my own party that have gone around for 2 years arguing that we shouldn't care about what's happening in Syria. We should care what's happening in Syria. It is a vital national security interest to the United States. Then the second question is, well, what do we do about it? And I've always believed and continue to believe that the best possible outcome is for Assad to be removed by his own people, by the Syrian people, and the U.S. should try to do what they can, what's possible to make that facilitated. Now, I thought it would have been a lot easier to do that 2 years ago, a year and a half ago.
Right.
I think accomplishing that has gotten more difficult because of these foreign fighters that have poured into Syria and these videos that we're seeing now on a steady basis and these horrible things that they're doing as well.
Are you still open to arming the rebels? Obviously, that's something you've talked about a lot. But, John Kerry says, look, 15 to 25% of the people fighting there could be, al-Qaeda linked. So, are you willing to run the risk your weapons get in their hands?
Well, that's the fundamental question. Number one is, those foreign fighters that are doing these horrible things in Syria, they weren't there 2 years ago. They took advantage of a vacuum that existed because the more moderate elements were not well trained and well armed. I mean, meanwhile, these foreign fighters linked to al-Qaeda were. I'm not in favor of arming the people that you've seen, on these videos that have been coming out. I'm not in favor of arming groups that are conducting mass executions. I'm not in favor of arming them. I'm in favor of trying to continue to identify moderate elements, train them, capacitate them, and then deliver weapons to them in an open way and in a way that ensures a chain of custody, that we control, that they can keep control of those weapons. I think it's gotten harder to do that. I will confess that it's gotten harder, and it may be harder to identify those types of rebels now, but I still think we should continue to try to explore that option, yes.